Today, we're going to show you how to make a whiskey sour with a select set of brown spirit focused bitters. Stay tuned. Welcome to Cobb Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Today, we're going to show you how to make a whiskey sour with a select set of bitters. We are here to answer the question, should I use cocktail bitters in my whiskey sour? And if I did, what bitters would I choose? While most of the bitters I'm going to talk about can be applied to any brown spirit cocktail, I want to bring it down to earth and give you an example cocktail that you can use so that you don't get intimidated by not knowing what to do. So I'm going to give you a selection of things with one constant, and the constant is the whiskey sour. Let's get some things straight. A whiskey sour doesn't typically call for bitters. I don't think. It also doesn't really call for egg white, but I use it all the time. And that would be more of a Boston sour. So anybody who's about to try and critique me on that, got you. Now we're going to have a select different series of bitters that I'm going to explain to you, give you some highlights, and help you kind of choose what might fit your palate. The one I'm going to use for our whiskey sour today, and I'll give you the recipe in a minute, is going to be Bittercube's root beer bitters. So Bittercube root beer bitters are citrus, herbal notes, cinnamon, sarsaparilla, vanilla. It's kind of like if you took the Angostura bitters that has some cinnamon notes and the anise black licorice flavor of, say, Peychaud or New Orleans or Orleans bitters from Scrappy's. I'm sure it's in here someplace. This is kind of that combo deal. Yep. It's kind of like that, a little bit of bitter aftertaste, earthy tones, but it definitely has like sarsaparilla black licorice type flavor, and a little bit of vanilla. Not too much black licorice. That would be saved best for the Orleans bitters. Bittercube cherry bark vanilla. That is right. That is here. Cherry bark vanilla. Cherry vanilla. Think about any oak aged spirit, which tends to have maybe some cherry notes from the wood. Definitely some vanilla oaks, especially when you charred a little bit, the charred oak. So it's not a stretch to be adding cherry bark vanilla bitters to a brown spirit. In this case, we'll be using Elijah Craig. Scrappy's chocolate, right here. Scrappy's chocolate bitters. This is where you get to do a little bit more of something abnormal and unusual to your whiskey sour. You can add nuances of like a dark chocolate. Don't think like milk chocolate. Think more like a dark, because bitters don't have a lot of sugars and sweeteners in them. Otherwise, they'd be easy to drink and they'd be an alcohol. They're going to be bitter. So bitter chocolate, cacao, stuff like that. Pairs well with brown spirits. It makes your whiskey sours and your old fashions taste a little bit different, yet still staying traditional to the recipes. Bitter End Memphis Barbeque Bitters. Smaller bottle. Think like warm pulled pork ribs, smoky. So if you're into the barbecue scene, even in the wintertime, smokiness, think campfires, probably not as much as like a peatiness, but that type of flavor profile. Trinity Bitters. Trinity Bitters, I've been promoting these at Common Man Cocktails for years. Trinity Bitters is 3 different bitters all in one bottle. It's like cost savings for your heart. It's Boulevard Bitters from Bittercube. It's Bittercube's Cherry Bark Vanilla Bitters. And it's Bittercube Orange Bitters. Orange bitters also tend to work, and citrus bitters tend to work in whiskey sours. They have citrus, it's lemon. So it's not a far cry to also bring that into this. And you can also fold in Regan's Orange Bitters, also used for brown spirits and light spirits. So you're going in the right path with the Trinity. It works with everything. Orleans Bitters, right here. Orleans Bitters, more, think of that black licorice flavor, but forward more into the flavor. Great for Sazeracs, other brown spirits. If you like a Sazerac and you like that black licorice type flavor integrated into your drink, Orleans Bitters is a good way to go. It's like, imagine Peychaud, but a little bit more vibrant and punchy. And the last one on the list is Scrappy's Black Lemon Bitters. You think, when you're trying it, lemon. However, ironically, black lemon is actually a dehydrated lime. But you're going to get smoky, Middle Eastern spice type flavor. So if you like Middle Eastern food and that type of thing, you're probably going to see some inheritance in this. It's kind of like curry bitters, which also exist from Bitter End. You can get curry bitters. I don't know if they work with brown spirits, but it's a thing, and you can get them. I'm thinking more like gin, but I don't know. Here's the recipe breakdown. 2 ounces of bourbon, 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of simple syrup, a half an egg white, 1 dash of salt, 3 dashes of bitters. I'm going to put that in a Nick and Nora glass, about 6 ounces if I recall. I'm going to use 3 dashes of bitters. in the selection of root beer bitters, but what you could do is recreate this exact recipe with any 3 dashes of any of these bitters, or a combination thereof those bitters, to get all of their lovely flavors together. And because I chose a whiskey sour, I have the penalty of having to do a dry shake. So let's start with the pour. 2 ounces of bourbon. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and all that stuff. With this specific video, I'm looking for interaction, likes, shares, and that type of thing. Not just because I like the views and the media and the ads and all the other crap that comes with it. Because I want to know if people are enjoying this type of content. Because what I'm thinking is I can create a video for clear spirits, maybe pick a different cocktail, some sort of gin or vodka cocktail, and do some pairings that way too. The other thing my wife and I were thinking about is maybe doing like on Tuesday nights for a couple nights, maybe every other week for a little bit, a cocktail building type live stream where you can help us come up with some creative new cocktails and build them from scratch using all the different product I have here. If that sounds like something you'd like to attend on like a Tuesday night, right below, and then we can compile them up and put out like a PDF where everybody can download all the recipes. Just a thought. 1/2 ounce of egg whites. This is probably about 1 ounce, so it doesn't matter. If you get the whole ounce in there, put something in there, and then catch the rest. A pinch of salt. 3 dashes of bitters. 1, 2, 3. Interesting note for you if you haven't been following the channel for a while, 1 dash of bitters is about 1 milliliter. Now, this is not going to shake very well, just to show you. If you're doing this at home and you have a Boston shaker, this is our professional Boston shaker, the Barfly Professional Boston Shaker, available at awesomedrinks.com, along with all these bitters, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can always seal this thing by putting some sort of napkin around the seal so that it doesn't leak all over you in case anything bad happens. But you will not create a good seal with this because there's no cold in here. And because there's no cold in here, it doesn't create that vacuum effect. And because it doesn't create that vacuum effect, it can unseal while you're shaking it. That could be a problem. You can really do this as long as you want. Maybe like 20 seconds. You can get super aggressive. Once that's done, you can add your ice. What you've done is emulsified it, got the bubbles in there. The reverse dry shake is add the ice first, chill it up, then take the ice out, then put the egg white in, boom, do all the shaky stuff. Ice! Shake it up. Another 12 seconds or so. Pour that right out. It's going to be very, very white until it settles. The other cool thing you can do if you feel like it is you can add some dashes to the top. It's a little harder if you don't have the dasher. Like this guy comes with a eyedropper dasher, which makes it easier to do patterns as opposed to just spilling it on top. But it's sometimes fun to try anyway. It adds a little bit more dash to it, so you're going to get a little bit more accent. And if you've just spent the money on bitters, you might as well get to use them a little bit more. But it also creates a cool little pattern, and you can serve it that way. And people go, "Oh, that's neat." You also get some of the bitters right on the top, which is good because egg whites, they tend to be pretty dry. So the sugar that you're getting is definitely, there's a back end sweetness, but it's not intense because the egg whites really kind of coat your tongue and it make it hard for that sweetness to really come through. But because you're using a higher proof bourbon, you start to get some of those lovely oak flavors. The bitters actually seem to curb some of that over oaky vanilla flavor that you tend to get out of Elijah Craig and a lot of the higher proof bourbons that have been aged for a while. They tend to have like more vanilla notes and definitely like more in your face, bright, fresh oak. And those type of flavors. This specific bitter, and I haven't used this specific one before for this, which is why I want to try it. I've done this cherry, it makes sense. I've done the chocolate, that's always fun. But this specific one definitely has a little bit less intense oak. So if you're not too into the oak and you want to kind of wean off some of the other thing that bitters tend to do is they balance the drink a little bit more, so you don't get overly alcoholic flavors. You don't get overly sweet, overly sour flavors. It's weird how that magic all happens. I guess it's very similar to, I don't know, salt and pepper on a steak. If you're a vegetarian, I guess salt and pepper on a carrot. I'm not a vegetarian, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. Like the spices bring out different flavors and they enhance specific things and they mute specific things. And each one of these is going to do something a little bit different for you. And there is a little bit of that sarsaparilla back-end flavor. The beauty is it doesn't taste like root beer. So it's not like root beer mixed in, because root beer is kind of a funky thing to play with. But when you finish a sip of root beer, a good root beer, more natural ones, you tend to get a little bit of that lingering sarsaparilla flavor. And you do get a little bit of that like lingering sarsaparilla and oaky bourbon kind of playing off each other, like in the long quarter at the behind. That's a pretty interesting bitter to use in this. You wouldn't think so. Root beer bitter sounds like it's going to be more of a novelty, but it's definitely got more herbal qualities than root beery qualities. So if you're still here, you're probably a friend of the show, a fan of the show. You've probably subscribed and hit the notification bell. That was a pitch. You've also probably been to awesomedrinks.com. We just redesigned the site, and when I say we, I mean kind of just me and a lot of late hours, 1, 2 in the morning every night for the last month, trying to get off of an old platform called Shopify and onto a new platform because they pissed me off. Shopify wasn't letting me use their sales system anymore because I was selling cocktail bitters, and they're telling me that you had to have an alcohol license for it, which you don't, for those that are wondering. And after arguing a bit and them not listening, I said, you know what, middle finger, I'm moving on. So with that new change, what I did is I'm able to now do a whole lot of cool new stuff, like bundle some of this stuff together for different type of discounting. So what I did is, as a default, there's a link in the description below for the set of these. What it comes with is a root beer bitter, the chocolate bitter, and the cherry bark vanilla. That's your set. 15% discount for buying these 3. Or if you say, Derek, I don't really want chocolate because that scares me. I want to use, let's say, Orleans instead because maybe I like to make a lot of Sazeracs. You could just hit minus on the quantity field for your chocolate bitters and put in the Scrappy's Orleans bitters. So the set has with it 3. However, it has the rest of these guys all in the same package deal. So if you buy basically 3 of any of them, then you'll get a 15% discount. If you buy 6 or more, you get a 20% discount. And that's something I wasn't able to do in the other site, so that's kind of cool. One of the other cool things now is you can now buy individual glasses at a higher rate than a 4-pack or a set. You could buy and mix and match different sets. So if you've always wanted to get some of the coupes or Nick and Nora, you can now purchase a couple Nick and Nora coupe and one of the other ones or whatever. And as long as you buy a minimum of, I think, 3 or whatever I set it to, you'll get discounting on that as well. So more flexibility now than I had before. But the goal here is to help educate you, and give you the ability to pre-curate some of this stuff so that you don't have to select through the thousands of different cocktail bitters that exist and guess. Because cocktail bitters aren't always the cheapest. They last for a long time. But I'm here to try and give you guys a little bit more education of where you can use them and kind of drive, for me, drive the sales of cocktail bitters for these folks. The Scrappies and the Bitter Ends and the Bittercubes. But at the same time, give you guys more of a selection so you're not making the same damn whiskey sour day in and day out, wondering when can I make a cooler drink. I'm too afraid to go something else. I really like my Elijah Craig or my Knob Creek. I just want a slight variation to it. Just change your spice, man. Just change out one of these specific key ingredients and you get a whole different flavor. The 19th, that's a Saturday of December, which is probably this upcoming Saturday. We'll be doing our live stream so we can film for our January episodes. And I'm going to fit some of this cool stuff in between if you guys are interested. So you just let me know. The sidebar, I got more videos. Down below is the Bartender Awesome Drinks Starter Kit. If you don't need all the equipment, we now have both a normal shaker tin. You can actually buy the tin separately now. Yay! And the new Barfly Professional Bartender, Professional Boston Shaker Kit, which is the strainer and the 2 tins. So that, my friends, is it. That's below. We're done. We're teaching you how to drink.